Remember your squirrel brain? How your brain is wired to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and save energy? Well, there's a bit more to that story, and once understood, it becomes another tool in your playbook's practice bag to carry with you, everywhere you go and all of the time. This tool has to do with understanding how your squirrel brain does its job so well, and how you can maximize the way it works behind the scenes for your own benefit. Simply put, your squirrel brain looks for nuts, and it's really, really good at it. It especially likes to look for nuts that look and smell and taste like all the nuts you've eaten before. That is, unless and until you decide to ask your squirrel brain to hunt for a different kind of nut, one with a different color, shape, or size. But your squirrel won't necessarily go looking for different tastes and types on its own. You have to ask your squirrel to find a different nut, often specifically. And once asked, that squirrel brain of yours can do wonders. Your squirrel brain vision can look right past the old nuts and zero in on that new nut you want. Once it knows what to look for, look out. Watch that squirrel of yours go nuts. The scientific explanation for how you search for nuts, in the form of utilizing fast shortcuts and filters, is coined selective attention filtering. And in this circumstance, it's called inattentional blindness, the act of zeroing in on only that one type of nut you want and becoming blind to virtually everything else. Your squirrel brain is super fast, efficient, and effective when it comes to this. And when left unattended, that could very easily harm you. But when deliberately directed, your capacity for selective attention can become your manager, your workhorse, and your trusted ally. Because this automatic part of your brain is filtering out unimportant, unsupported, or irrelevant information all of the time behind the scenes. It's either working for you or against you. It's up to you to decide. It's up to you to take action. It's up to you to tell your squirrel brain what to look for, what to consider important, and what to consider relevant. And when asked to find evidence to prove a particular belief or idea that you have, it will work behind the scenes to focus your attention on anything to support that point of view. Here's an important feature for you to remember. Unlike a light switch, you can't simply turn on or off your squirrel brain's filters. However, you can adjust its specifications and settings. In this case, automatic means always on. But what you tell your brain to notice, what you purposefully choose to ask your brain to deem important and relevant, will impact everything that your conscious brain experiences. Everything you notice. Everything. In essence, the intentions you set create the reality you make. Setting your intention and attention takes effort and energy. It's exercise, and your brain responds to exercise. In fact, leading edge science and research on the plasticity of your brain is revealing that just like your skeletal muscles, your mental muscle responds to exercise in very much the same way. And like your overall level of physical fitness, it's a matter of which exercises you do or don't do and how consistently you do them. When left untrained, your squirrel brain will take over and run the show, jumping from branch to branch, searching for and feeding upon nuts. Meanwhile, your high level brain will atrophy like your forearm muscles would if you were to spend 12 weeks in an arm cast. So here's the question for you to ask yourself. Are you choosing exercises that relate to mindfulness, self regulation, compassion, kindness, sufficiency, generosity, and empathy so that you strengthen your mental muscle to notice the connections and possibilities and opportunities all around you? Or are you choosing exercises that promote fear and skepticism, worry, resentment, distrust? It's like fitness training. Whatever exercises you repeatedly do for your body's muscular system will eventually dictate your movement patterns and ultimately how you physically move in the world. Well, the mental exercises you practice over and over again will establish your overall thought patterns. And research is showing that over the long term, it's both your movement patterns and also your thought patterns that have dramatic physiological impacts as well. And in the broader sense, how you move with and through your world. In a transcript taken from an interview with clinical professor of neurosurgery from Stanford University, Dr. James Doty, he says, even after brief periods of meditation, we actually can study the epigenetic effect of how our genes are changing the expression, even with brief periods of meditation, in the context of inflammation markers. And it's extraordinary because even with people who have meditated in this manner for as little as 2 weeks, 20 minutes a day, you can see effects in regard to their blood pressure, in regard to their release of stress hormones, and in the effects on the immune system. And one of the big things that people don't appreciate is that a lot of disease is actually a manifestation of inflammation. And that is a manifestation of your immune system not functioning well. And these types of practices can decrease that inflammation. The brain doesn't distinguish between an experience that is intensely imagined and an experience that is real. The brain will always choose what is familiar over what is unfamiliar, which becomes such an amazing way to think about the point of practicing, that you make another kind of presence, another kind of being in the world, familiar to your own body, to your own mind. And this is what people don't appreciate, the power of their intention to change everything. Dr. Doty continues to say, and it was this understanding that deep emotions are expressed in the heart, and that there is this, if you will, mind-heart connection that's extraordinarily powerful. And we now know through anatomy and a variety of studies that there's immense amount of neural innovation that comes from the brain stem into the heart. And it's a two-way street, and they can have powerful effects on each other. So what does that actually mean for you in practical terms? That you focus on training your brain with the same dedication, commitment, and consistency as you do with your body. And analogous to learning a sport like tennis, it's not an all or nothing game. It's incremental steps, daily and purposeful practice sessions, and occasional peaks and valleys. It's a skill you must learn and develop at your own pace. And just like performance in a tournament match, your performance in life will be determined by your practice. The why, the what, and the how you practice. It's your choice. It's your responsibility. It's your muscle.